Hello, I'm Faith, and welcome to Faith's Take, where I talk about anything and everything that I find interesting. This is the second installment of Unpopular Opinions, where I talk about, you guessed it, my unpopular opinions. Last time I talked about why I hate Toy Story 3, and now we're diving back into the Pixar well and talking about Inside Out. Now my allergies are really bothering me today, so I apologize for my weak voice. And for those wondering why I'm not on camera, I want to make sure I get this out at a decent time today, and shooting myself will just eat up more time. I'm also only using trailer footage because it makes it simpler to edit and I shouldn't have to worry about copyright claims, though Disney's not actually too bad about that. I apologize if I also need to use the same footage a couple of times, and obviously, there will be spoilers. Now while I dislike this entire movie, there are two major issues with the third act that cause me to believe this might be the most manipulative animated movie I've ever seen. But first, I'll sum up my feelings on the film up to that point. Now I can sum up the first two acts of this movie in 3 words. Boring and annoying. On their little road trip that almost every other Pixar movie seems to do, Joy and Sadness do the same thing every 10 to 15 minutes. Get to Personality Island X, island begins to fall apart, go through random unimaginative obstacle to get to the next island. And this happens over and over. And no, the different obstacles are not enough to make it feel fresh because they're so uncreative. The only interesting roadblock they face was the abstract thought. Other than that, the rest are completely not compelling, and I forgot what most of them were as soon as the scene was over. And as for annoyance, Riley, Joy, and Sadness are some of the most unlikable main characters Pixar has ever put out. Joy is selfish and controlling, Sadness has very little to her personality, and Riley literally has no personality. Just because the movie claims she has a personality doesn't mean she does. So she loves hockey and her family. So what? That isn't a personality. If you watch just the Riley scenes of the movie, she is so bland, it's kind of unbelievable. And when she's not being uninteresting, she's being incredibly selfish. The only 2 negative things that happen are the actual event of her family moving away, and some other stuff getting lost. Even when it's established, they will eventually get that stuff back. Everything else is perfectly fine. Her schoolmates seem to treat her fine even after she literally breaks down and cries in front of them. Her parents aren't even really fighting, her dad's just a little bit frustrated at their job that's going on. Literally nothing else is wrong. But when I said, that's it, I'm completely done with this character, was when she was Skyping her friend back home, and as soon as her friend mentions that she dared to hang out with someone who wasn't Riley, who now lives thousands of miles away, Riley just completely shuts the computer off on her now supposedly former best friend. What a brat. But let's finally get into the 2 biggest problems. The first being the emotional manipulation of the audience. Like I said in Toy Story 3, Pixar is really good about earning its emotional responses, but after Up, most of the emotional scenes have to be ridiculously over the top and unnecessarily harsh to make sure the audience cries. Toy Story 3, Inside Out, and The Good Dinosaur being the greatest offenders so far. But in my opinion, Inside Out has the most underhandedly manipulative scene of them all. Again, I can't stress spoilers enough here. Alright. On their little journey, Joy and Sadness meet Riley's old forgotten imaginary friend, Bing Bong. He's completely incompetent and not endearing in the slightest. At first, we're not sure whether he's a friend or foe, especially since he's inexplicably stealing some of Riley's memories when they first meet him. He volunteers to help them make it back to headquarters and they decide to follow him. After that, they get into several dangerous situations, mostly due to his idiocy. He genuinely contributes nothing because if you'll remember, Sadness knew every single way around Riley's brain, but Joy decided to follow Bing Bong instead. So they didn't need his help, and all he did was lead them to the pointless obstacles and almost get them killed several times. So what did they decide to do with his character? Kill him off, of course! Yes, a character that contributed literally nothing to the story gets axed off by sacrificing himself for Joy so she can be with Riley. I couldn't believe my eyes sitting in that theater. Did they really just kill off a character that meant nothing to try to have a big emotional moment? Yes. Yes, they did. And you might say, but Faith, Joy wouldn't have escaped without Bing Bong's help. I'm sorry, but maybe they could have given Sadness more to do and have her find a way to rescue Joy, thus giving Joy more of a reason to appreciate Sadness later on. Also, I said that we first don't know if Bing Bong is friend or foe. Well, originally, he was intended to be an antagonist. Similar to Lotso from Toy Story 3, he was bitter that Riley stopped playing with him. It actually made him stealing her memories when Joy and Sadness first run into him make sense. He then led them through the dangerous obstacles on purpose so they would fail to get back. And when he sacrificed himself for Joy, it actually meant something. He had a full-on redemption arc and actually contributed to the story in a meaningful way. But did they do that? No, of course not. That would be too interesting and emotionally important. And finally, the worst part of the movie. The message. At least the way they portray the message. Now, if I have this right, the message is supposed to be that you can't have joy without sadness, and you need to appreciate the importance of both. However, if that is the case, this must be the most terribly botched lesson I've seen in my entire life. In her lowest moment, Joy plays back one of Riley's memories, and it goes as follows. Riley's hockey team loses a game because she made a mistake. She's sitting alone, obviously depressed, when her parents and teammates come to cheer her up. That's it. That's it. So according to this script, if you're sad, the people in your life will just come and make you feel better so you can feel joy again. That message is just as self-absorbed as Riley and Joy are. It's saying that if you feel bad, it's up to other people, not you, to make you feel better. You have to do nothing but look sad. Nothing is required of you. That isn't just a poorly told message, that's a potentially toxic message. You're teaching kids that they shouldn't even bother helping themselves, and anytime a kid wants the slightest emotional boost, all they need to do is look depressed and everyone will come sort it out for them. If the real lesson is supposed to be you can't have joy without sadness, then a movie that came out only a few months later had the same message portrayed perfectly, that being the Peanuts movie. Where in Inside Out, the only example shows us that we don't need to do anything to feel better, the Peanuts movie shows us that we need to be the ones to better ourselves. Even when Charlie Brown fails over and over and over, he keeps trying. No matter how down in the dumps he gets, he picks himself up and keeps going. No matter how bad he feels, he helps others when he gets a chance, and he finds ways to make himself happy, and if they don't work out, he still keeps going. Sometimes in life, we have to pick ourselves up without any help. Sometimes we have to make our own joy, and that's exactly what Charlie Brown does, and that's exactly what Inside Out's message should have been. The director, Pete Docter, said the entire film is a metaphor for growing up. What better lesson to teach growing and maturing kids than you need to be able to help yourself and go on to help other people as well? What scares me most about this whole thing is how many people said they related to this movie. They related to a film with selfish and annoying main characters, and a lesson that requires no work or thought or anything on their part. I weep for a broken, self-centered world. And that is why I hate Inside Out. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. As with the Toy Story 3 video, I hope you don't hate me now, and I'll see you all later.
So that's all of today's video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. See you. Peace.